All right, so happy Friday, everybody. I know we had a couple of offices across the country that are jumping on live today, which is really cool. I want to welcome everyone. It's been a minute since I've had a guest on our Clear channel. For those of you guys that don't know, if you haven't done it quite yet, please go to YouTube. I know you went there at some point in the last 24 to 48 hours, but go to YouTube, type in KLEAR channel. You're going to see my face. You'll be a part of our community. We have 400 videos at this point. For the last few years, we've been doing the channel. A ton of them are like our guest today, amazing entrepreneurs that are going to share their stories of how they've grown to run their own businesses and how they grew up and where they grew up, et cetera. And then there's some other things around leadership and sales and different things that we do in our industry, and a lot of things about life, and how you can have a great life. So before we get into it, Keasel, good morning. Thanks for jumping on today.
Good morning, Ken. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you on today. So I'm gonna give your little rap sheet, your little bio, right? Because
All right.
obviously we've known each other for a while now. We have very similar backgrounds, but I want to brag on Keasel a little bit. So Keasel is he's born in Delaware. His nationality is American, but he's also from Barbados, right?
Mm-hmm.
He grew up, went to high school at Caravel Academy. Caravel's where? Is that in where is
It's
that?
in Delaware. Where it's about 15 minutes from University of Delaware.
Okay. So in Delaware, went to Providence College in 2014. And after school, during school, obviously played a ton of soccer. So that's why we get along so well. It turned professional, in his, I would say late teens, early 20s. Played professional soccer in the Philadelphia system. Let's see, in different. He's a big sports guy in Philadelphia. It's like this is where all his teams are. But he played internationally for his country. And I know we've talked about this a few times, but you played in some World Cup qualifiers, right?
Yep.
You've played in some really important games for Barbados, which is pretty awesome. You're a goalkeeper, right? So most people know that. So me and you definitely got along if we played on the same team, but would never get along if we didn't, because I'd probably elbow you on a corner kick or something. But yeah, just a crazy Philadelphia fan. I'm sorry to hear you're a Madrid fan, but that's a different story. Has met some famous people in his life, like Floyd Mayweather. So Keasel, thanks for jumping on today. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about life before school, family, things like that? Tell me about life and growing up.
Yeah. Well, Ken, like I said, I appreciate you having me on. I watch your channel more times than I can count, especially when you have your guest speakers. So to be a part of a guest speaker for me, being a guest speaker is unbelievable. But yeah, a little bit
That's
backstory.
awesome.
So born and raised Delaware. Like I said, I'm 45 minutes south of Philly, a small town called Claremont, Delaware. I went to high school about 30 minutes south where I grew up. Um, you know, both my parents, hardworking. My dad was ex-military, Air Force, HVAC background. Mom was in the financial aid department throughout colleges, like Springfield College. She's currently now at Cal State Long Beach, just outside of LA.
Oh,
But
okay.
parents always took care of me. Soccer was my main focus. Like I was that kid that like if I wasn't an hour and a half early to practice, I was pissed off. Like I had to be there, ripping and running 24/7. Soccer was the main sport. I kicked football in high school just a little bit, and I know
Oh,
we
no way.
talked in the past. I almost went to Penn State to kick football and play soccer, but didn't work out that way. But yeah, great, good family. And both my parents worked really hard. Like my dad would get up at 5 a.m., do his normal job with Carrier, and then do his side jobs afterwards. Mom, same thing. You know what I'm saying? They really grinded. They really worked hard, and that was kind of where the work ethic kind of got instilled. Great core group of friends growing up, and I'm still close with them today, whether it be college, high school, or business, soccer, whatever it is. So I got a really cool core group of guys that I can go to no matter what. Um, you know, Going into Providence, that was the dream for me. Being in an environment like that, a good support system. That's my second family. But for me, I'm very blessed just to be where I'm at. And not saying we had a lot growing up because we definitely didn't, but I never went hungry. I always had, clothes on my back. My parents gave me everything I needed to be successful and put me in the right position to win. So for me, just ever grateful in that aspect of it.
I love it. I don't know. I don't know if you know this, but Brady was born in Long Beach.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I didn't realize that your mom's out there now. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Long Beach has got every time I go to California, because we have partners that are out there. Brady's always like, "You're not going to take me to my home? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Go to school." You know what I mean? Like, dude, chill out. All right, so you play soccer. Tell us how was it? Like, I mean, I know my dream was to play for the U.S. national team. Like,
Mhm.
I still today, as an adult, out of my prime, very out of my prime, still get goosebumps when I go to the U.S. games and stand there during the national anthem. That must have made your family so proud that you played for your country. How was it for you?
I tell you, it was unbelievable. Like growing up, me and my dad, we would watch the Premier League Saturday mornings, and the Arsenal Man U's and things like that. And we watched the men's national team, and obviously, like I said, I was a goalkeeper. Tim Howard was my idol.
Oh,
Growing up.
nice.
Watching Tim Howard play from Metro Stars in New York to Manchester United to Everton, Colorado.
Yeah.
And every time that he represented the national team, just hearing the anthem, I could always in my head, I was like, how cool would it be to be able to be on the field and hear the anthem like walking out. And once I graduated from Providence, I got drafted to the MLS, and my agent at the time knew the technical director for Barbados. So it
Mm.
was like one of those like right place, right time type things. And um, first World Cup qualifier, we were in Aruba. First time ever, traveling internationally to play, and go through everything for the national team is like by the second. Like there's no
Yeah.
wiggle room. There's on a schedule, and it's time to walk out, and I hear the anthem go that I've seen countless times watching the U.S. play or other national teams, and I'm trying to stay focused and like it's game time. So, like I'm just grinning from I'm just
Yeah, yeah. Trying to stay focused. You're like,
yeah,
it's hitting you.
yeah, grinning from ear to ear, and to stand out there for the national anthem. And be a part of that, which is unbelievable. I'll never forget it. I actually have a tattoo
That's
of it,
awesome.
just so I never forget it. But it was just
That's
yeah, it was a great experience. Never forget that first game.
awesome, man. Well, I can just tell you, just beyond work and business and life, I think we all have a part of our heart where we want to make our parents proud, right? And we want to do something amazing. And I am sure that was an awesome moment, not just for you, for all those times that our family drive us to the practices and
Yeah.
all the sacrifice. You know what I mean? I just think about that. Like even me now, when my kids are young, the practices, the games, the Brady does extra training now with the speed and agility group. There's
Mhm.
just so much that's put into it. So,
Yeah.
all right, so you play soccer, and then at some point we make a decision to not. And I know for me, that was hard to hang up my boots and to get into business. How was that like mental? Man, this one chapter is kind of done a little bit. We gotta open a new chapter. How was that for you?
It was tough. I mean, I'll be fair. Like, I had a huge identity gap for sure. I didn't end the career on my terms. I tore
Mm.
my Achilles, actually on trial up in New York, and I was about 48 hours from signing another contract, and then I popped my Achilles, and that was April of 2018.
Mm.
And at that point, I've never had a lower body injury. Any injury I had was always upper body, so I could still work out and I could keep my touches, whatever. But to have a lower body injury where I couldn't even drive, essentially, where I wasn't allowed to drive, I still drove. Um, really kind of set, like, hey, what's next? Because I didn't really know what was next. Because soccer was my number one thing. Um, fast forward 6 months, 3 months, I got cleared to play. I probably had the fastest recovery time in just under 4 months from my Achilles injury. And then I
Mm.
played for Barbados for some Nation League qualifiers in September, October, and November. And then ultimately, I did earn another contract to play USL for the Richmond Kickers. But I just started, obviously, in our business and doing sales and things like that. So
Hmm.
I had a tough
I didn't
decision.
know that.
Yeah, I had a
Wow.
tough decision to make, and I decided to do this just because the money wasn't right. I was in a different chapter of my life, and I really had to figure out what was most important. And I'm glad I chose what I did, just to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's interesting, but although that knowing now, obviously looking back, you're like, what an interesting decision, leaning to this as opposed to something else. But I'm sure it wasn't easy, right? Because again, that just I know what it's like for me. And I didn't even have a chance to sign the contracts, or whatever. I just, similar time where it's like, do I hang them up? Do I lean into my career? Like an identity gap? It's hard for some. And I know there's people that watch this channel. I guarantee, and there's people listening today, I think can relate to that. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So you fall into, an office that does sales. Where was this?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm at right now, currently. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Pittsburgh. You meet, I think Madhav ran the company then, right?
Yes,
Right, and I know Madhav because he's a good buddy of mine too. So what was your experience like? So you're an athlete. Did you have any sales experience before this?
None. I had
Zero.
No.
Okay, so you have no sales experience. So backtrack to your first 5 days. How amazing were you?
Let's just say this. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. And my first day in the
Ah.
field, I had the pitch folded over. I would read the pitch and I would find somebody to talk to. And then I would read the pitch again and then find somebody to talk to. And that was my first day. I literally just read it and
So
then
you didn't even have it memorized.
didn't even have it memorized. No shit. No shot. I was just a ball of charisma and just trying not to sweat my way through my first sale. That's pretty much how that worked out.
That's funny. That's funny. I'm surprised they didn't send you home.
I think they probably tried to, but I was like, I need money now. So just put me out there with whoever. I don't care.
That's funny. Okay, so in your experience with customer sales, again, first 30 days, to walk us through that, and how was it overall? How did you, clearly you got it down, right? Maybe you started off a little, uncommitted, having some fun. Hey, this is new, right? Limited commitment sounds like, which is relatively normal, starting something different, uncertain, right? Tell me about your first 30 days and just sales. Mentally, what did you do? What are some actions for anyone that wants to get better at their sales?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned not being committed because I was definitely interested, but at the time that I first started, that's when I got that contract offer to go play in Richmond. So I'm back and forth of like, do I take this? Do I not take it? Can I negotiate more money? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the housing situation, right? While I'm still, doing the sales. And the sales worked out well because I was making the money because we get paid every Friday, right? So, I'm making money week after week. I'm getting myself out of a financial hole, essentially. And after about 8 weeks of doing sales, and then I looked at the contract offer and I'm like, I almost made a third of the money in the last 8 weeks than I would make the entire year playing soccer. So
Wow.
financially, I was just like, that doesn't make sense, right? So at that point, I decided to not do the contract. And to be fair, I was still interested. I wasn't committed as of yet.
Yeah.
I think I became more committed when I saw somebody get promoted to management. And then I was really curious, like, hey, what does that look like? What does that mean? What are the roles, responsibility? What does that look like financially? And then once that was broken down for me, then it all kind of just started clicking.
Yeah.
I was more committed, not, I wasn't there all the way yet because I would still be coaching soccer on the side. And I was playing for like a semi-pro league over the summer, my first year. Um, but once I like really like dived headfirst into it, things just really started moving in the right direction pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting conversation. There is a difference between interested and committed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're interested in something, you're going to do things when they're personally convenient,
Right.
right? But the moment they become inconvenient and you have to go out of your way to do something, then, I'd rather do this. But when you're committed,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what's going on, right? You're committed, right? It's like in a relationship, like a good marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Interested or committed. If you're interested, it's gonna be trouble. When you're committed, it's like, no, there's boundaries. Like there's things that just don't work, right? So tell us about a point of, so you get to leadership, you're starting to learn how to train and develop other people. Was there any challenges you had in leadership? What was there? Is there anything? Did you get your ass kicked? Like, tell us the stuff that like, that just frustrated you. You just like almost wanted to quit, kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if this is gonna work. The world's ending.
I think the leadership side of it, like I'll be fair, I was not good at training, right? I was not good at training by any stretch of the imagination. I had to myself personally work 6 days to catch up my numbers to be able to train somebody else because I just didn't have the skill set. And I also had I needed help from other people that were good at training because I just didn't get it. Um, you know, I'll be fair. The first person that I trained to leadership, it was more on them than it was me. I was just we were just good friends, good buddies, and like he just copied what I did, so it worked out really well. But there were some other people that I really struggled with that had the potential, but I just didn't follow through on my end, and I
Mm,
really had to get better. You want to talk about ass kicked in terms of like potentially quitting. That didn't happen until I got promoted to management, and then COVID happened 6 weeks later, and I lost my entire team. That
oh
was
yeah,
the
that'll
thing.
get you.
Yeah, I mean that when finally I was committed and I do the 6 days. I spend the time outside of work, building relationships, going above and beyond, driving 2.5 hours to territory to train somebody, drive back, and then something that's out of my control just takes
Like
everything.
a world pandemic that's
Yeah, like a
hasn't
pandemic.
happened in 100 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think yeah,
It knocked out a few businesses,
a
just so we're
couple.
fair,
Yeah, a
right?
couple. Yeah.
Not just you. Some others felt some pain too.
Definitely. So, and that's when I had that moment of doubt because I'll never forget it. I was waiting for my trainee to come, and I'm sitting in the parking lot of our territory, and I'm like, man, I did everything right.
Mm,
I didn't cut corners. I worked hard. I kept my head down, and I reached my goal. But to have something taken away from me without my control was really kind of gut wrenching. And
yeah,
I'm like, I thought about quitting like right after COVID, but I think the conversation that I had with myself was I'm a pretty loyal person. And when people take care of me, I want to make sure I take care of them. And, Madhav, took care of me obviously during the pandemic. And I couldn't be that person that left him out to dry after he took care of me for those last couple of months. So I told myself like I'm gonna give it a whole nother year. And if I can get promoted in 13 months, I know I can do it probably sooner. And I just dialed in again, right? And I put the fear in the back in the rear view, and I just kept moving forward. And I got re promoted essentially 10 months later, right? And then being able to open up after that. So that's what the real kind of ass kicking came from, something that was really
yeah,
out of my control. But in my head, if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
yeah. So you had gotten promoted to assistant manager, hadn't quite got a chance to run your own market, run your own business. The world pandemic hits. To your point, gut wrenching for a lot of people. And I think what Gary and our broker did to
Yeah,
financially take care of all the offices, which not only there's, I don't know, $20 million they invested into the field, into our offices, into our partners to take care of people so they didn't have to lay off their entire staff. Like almost every other company on the planet, laid off people and shut down for a period of time, right? So which is a story for another day, another time. But you know the story behind that,
hmm
and you were one of the people Madhav turned around and paid, and we didn't work for 3 months, right? My office, as you know, was one of the few offices that didn't shut down because we had this pilot going on with EDM and Target and anything else, and
right.
that turned out pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
But the interesting enough that paying it forward attitude, that people helping people philosophy that we all have as partners in this business, in this industry, you basically were supported,
hmm
and that loyalty for Madhav, that loyalty then turns around. Now you run your own office. How long have you been running a business?
It was 3 years on the 19th of September.
3 years on the 19th of September. And tell us about it. Tell us about entrepreneurship.
You know what? People make fun of me because my first probably year in business, they call me the part-time boner, because I was always gone. I was at
Part-time owner.
yeah, I was a part-time owner.
I thought you said something else. I'm sorry.
I was I was in
I'm
this
sorry.
bachelor party,
That's
this
me.
trip, that trip, whatever. So the first year wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. Uh,
Okay.
Going into, I would probably say after about 8, 9 months, one of my guys had a conversation with me, and they said, "Hey," because at the time I just finished doing 75 hard, right? And
Oh yeah, I remember this time.
yeah, and for those that don't know, 75 hard, for 75 days in a row, two workouts for
Hmm.
45 minutes each. One has to be outside. Drink a gallon of water. I still have my gallon here, Ken. So
Dude.
still have my gallon every day. I read 10 pages of a self development book. No alcohol, no cheap meals. Maybe a couple other things. And they looked me in the eye and they said, Keasel, if you put the same amount of discipline, work ethic, and
Mm.
structure that you have in 75 Hard into your business, you'd be amazed to see how far you go. And then as soon as that conversation happened, the flip of the switch, and
Who
then
said that to you?
my old assistant manager, her name was Sarah Tanini. Yeah, Sarah
Mm.
Tanini. And it's funny,
Such a great message.
great message, great message. And it's funny because are you familiar? I know we talked a little bit about Steve Wawinski. He's the kind of the events guy a little bit.
Yes, 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 yes.
Me and him kind
And
of
do you mind sharing that 30 seconds of that? So we have an events program that we're really starting to build behind the scenes. So some of
yeah.
our, if anyone listening today is retail guys, right? So do you mind
Yeah.
sharing 30 seconds of that?
Yeah, events. There's a lot of cool things coming. Sports marketing has been a thing. Obviously here in Pittsburgh, we've kind of been the flagship with partners with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're in our second season now. We just finished yesterday with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this has opened up on our campaign in terms of Houston, Texas, Columbus, Toledo. It's coming up in Boston now, Chicago, NASCAR, hockey, basketball. So it's not just going to be on the energy sector; it's going to be in telecom as well. So it's coming for sure.
Steve and I have been chatting a little bit about Michigan. There's apparently some teams like the Lions and I don't know, this team that has a big game today, Detroit, I don't know, Tigers or something. I don't know. Yeah, and the latest was I got a call about the Red Wings of us doing something with them. So yeah, it's interesting, right?
So that stuff is coming for sure. But we've been he has a Google Sheets tracker that I have. And it's funny to look at from that conversation in terms of how many people were in the office, how many sales we did per week, and what the overall wire size was from then to now is night and day difference. I think the first week we did it, there were 7 people in the office and maybe doing $12,000 wire, maybe 8, I don't know. But most recently, we're at 22 people currently in the office. And it was about a $27,000 wire in terms of the refocus and determination and commitment to it more than anything.
Yeah. And for people that don't know the numbers or whatever, 50% of that is the management pay for you running your day-to-day operations and things, right? 60-40 really, to be fair. So 27, I don't know, $12,000-$13,000 a week is not a bad week, to say the least, for you. That's why you smile. That's why you smile. So listen, one of the guys that's on today and in our audience, and thank you for the audience for texting me, had a question for you. It's like, this is a new thing. Like, I normally have the questions, whatever, but I like this. I like people participating, caring about asking questions again. So what's something you sacrificed? What is something along the way to be able to hit some of your goals?
Sacrifice time. Sacrifice the time. It's always been, I forget who said it. It might have been, might have actually been Sessions. You have to, pay now. You can either pay now and play later, or you can play now and pay later. But either way, you're going to pay, and either way, you're going to play. It's just in what order you want to do it. And for me, I was like, if I could take, max 2-3 years of just hard work, grind, dedication, focus, and have the rest of my life to do as I please, come as I go, why not? And to be able to do some of the things I've done in the last 6 weeks have been amazing.
So what have you done? Tell us about it. What have you done in the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is getting to go to the Olympics in Paris. That was unbelievable.
Someone else was there too. The funny thing is, when you texted me, you're like, "Hey, what weeks are you going?" I was like, "Wait, are you here?" And that's why I was like, "Hey, are you at the U.S. game? Because I need tickets, right?" Because I was trying to get it. You're like, "No, I'm there next week." I'm like, because I knew you'd. Because I know, doesn't your buddy, like, isn't he? So someone's worked with the team, right? Like,
so when the U.S. won the Nations League like 2 years ago, my goalkeeper coach in high school was the interim head coach for the men's national team. It was a client paid trip, right? I just had to all I had to pay for was my +1's flight. But we got to go see the semifinal basketball, France versus Germany. We got to see the gold medal match of soccer, France versus Spain. And then we got to see the gold medal basketball, USA versus France, on top of taking a day to Champagne country and doing the whole saber, opening the bottle, things like that. So, that was unbelievable. I got to go to, 2 weddings of good friends of mine 2 weeks after that. So I was gone for a little bit. And then my birthday was last week, and I went to the Eagles Falcons Monday night game. Had a great time.
Oh, that's why you went. I didn't realize it was your birthday. Okay.
Yeah, so I went.
Because you told me, you're like, yeah, I went to the Eagles game 2 nights ago. You're like, didn't you leave at like 3 o'clock, drove out there, and
Yeah,
then stay? And
yeah, I'm a little bit psycho. So like, I woke up at 5 a.m. Monday to go to the gym. I went to the gym, got a good workout in. I met one
of
of my
course, you got to get it in.
got to get it in, because I knew I was going to be intaking some calories, so I had to put myself in the deficit first before picked up one of my guys. We drove 4.5 hours to Philly. Got there around 2:30. We had to go to the beer distributor, and then
Yeah,
we found a park
tailgate, and
tailgate, and game started at 8:30. Game got done about 11:30. Got some gas, had me a Red Bull, and then fighting demons on the way back to Pittsburgh. I walked in my house at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I was in the office at 8:30, and I was there for about a couple hours. And then I took a nap for the rest of the day. And then my birthday was on Wednesday, and then I went to the Steelers tailgate on Sunday. So it was a great week for sure.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, listen, listen. One thing I appreciate is working with people that just care. Right? They just care about their own growth, their own development. There's all this noise out around us, and people. I love it that people gave you shit, and you decided to keep your head down and keep moving forward, and that's what successful people do, right? Is they just keep moving forward. Now, as far as the next steps of your career, next steps in general. How do things look in the future? I mean, I know I get your email every week, and you and I talk a lot, and I do my best to support you in your journey. What does the future look like, and as we kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, it's been, right before the turn of 2024, I sat down with my entire team, and I was like, what are our goals for 2024? And the first one was, want to do $1 million in business, right? Last time I checked, right now we're pacing for 1.1. Right, and we're averaging about 22,000 a week right now. So right now we're on pace.
Just for numbers for people listening, 400,000 or 500,000 of that is for you running the day-to-day business, right? Pretty awesome.
Yeah, something along those lines. I wanted to promote, 5 assistant managers. We're at 3 currently. And I wanted to do, help. I want to help at least 3 markets expand. We're knocking on the door of our first one. So we'll see if I'll be able to get a second one out before the year's done. So we've been moving in the right direction. Promote a whole bunch of leaders. Culture's been great. The sports and marketing thing has been phenomenal. So goals have been, we're knocking them off and, lining up the next one. So it's been great. And, goal is, to be in a position like you, in the next 3 years. That's the goal. If I do this right, I do it strategically and with intent. So being in that chair, just in a different city, would be great.
Oh, thanks. I think the neat thing about what people don't know, right? You kind of don't know what you don't know, is like this sports marketing thing. This is something that I'm aware of. A lot of people who watch the channel, even my office, have no clue about, right? So they know EDM and Target and everything else. Like this is, and not only is that business booming, but we got an entirely new channel that's been farming, that you're farming, and others, right? I've tested a few things of some of our offices, right? Some of my team was in Toledo and Cleveland with the Cavaliers and a few other things recently. And that business is a massive business, that it's like literally like first 6 months of a child's life kind of stuff. Just kind of, we're crawling, just trying to look around like what's out there. And it's got such legs and such opportunity because there's just a space that's very, very specialized. I'm going to give you some shit right here at the end. Is that okay?
I'm all for it.
I know you're working hard. You told me the other day you're not going to R&R.
I'm going. Oh, I'm going.
Oh, you are going. Oh.
Listen, I'm just going a day early because I have to be in Providence.
Oh, so you have to leave. You have a wedding or something.
No,
okay.
No, so when I was in college, my last season at Providence, we made it to the Final Four. Unfortunately, we lost to UCLA in double overtime. But this is the 10-year anniversary of our Final Four.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So I'm going to R&R, and then I'm flying with my mom and my girlfriend.
Are you taking your mom to R&R?
Yeah, my mom's coming to R&R first time.
Oh, I love it. You better make sure I meet her.
Oh yeah, she'll be there. I mean, you'll probably find her at the beach, sitting down with a mimosa or some type of fruity drink in her hand for sure.
Yeah, I love it. But I'm giving you shit because last year at R&R, you're like, Ken, 1 year from today, I'm going to put together a volleyball team that's going to beat you guys.
Yeah. But
you have to leave.
I do, unfortunately. But you know,
rule number one of winning a game, you have to show up.
I do have to show up.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, hey, Keasel, thank you so much for jumping on today. We really appreciate you. Hang tight real quick so this thing all downloads. But, listen, I love our business. I love helping people reach their dreams. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your partnership. And I know there's people listening today that got a lot out of this. So thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Any final thoughts?
Listen, if you have a goal and you have if you have a goal and you're determined enough and you're willing to work hard enough for long enough, you'll reach it. Right? If you're not willing to put in the work, it's not going to happen. Right? It really comes down to how big your why is and how hard and how long you want to work to achieve your goal. It's really what it comes down to.
Love it. Thank you so much, guys. You'll find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok and all the other social media sites. Have an awesome Friday. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.